Welcome to the lesson, Drawing the Line on Understanding Linear Functions. Let's review some vocabulary before we start reviewing what a linear function is. A linear function is a function that has a constant rate of change and is not a vertical line. Slope is referred to as the steepness of a line. It can be referred to as the letter m in algebra, the variable m, and it is equal to rise over run. So when you initially learned to find slope, you used a graph of a line and you used rise over run and simplified your ratio. We can also refer to it as the change in y over the change in x. This is handy when we're describing or interpreting our slope. So the change in y refers to the change in the vertical distance of a line, and the change in x refers to the horizontal distance that change on the axis of the line. So vertical change over horizontal change. We can also find the slope of a line using two ordered pairs that fall on a line. We refer to the second ordered pair as x2, y2, and the first ordered pair as x subscript 1, y subscript 1. These points are interchangeable as long as the x and y coordinate of each point line up. Typically, you see at y2 subtract y1 because the values of the ordered pair y1, x1, y1 are smaller in value and will result a positive. But these are interchangeable. Y-intercept is the value of y at the point where the line crosses the y-axis. It represents the y value at the start or a beginning when x is equal to 0. So any point that lies on the y-axis will have an x-coordinate of 0. The y value is the y-intercept to a line. Interpret. When we interpret something, we give or provide the meaning of. We explain using words. Students often have a difficult time with interpret and just give a value. If you're asked to interpret the slope, you're not going to give a numerical value. You need to give an explanation of slope. And we go back to this vertical change over horizontal change. And what exactly does the y-axis represent in the problem? And what does the x-axis? So it's very important that your graph have labeled axes in order to interpret. Let's talk about why a vertical line is not a linear function. Indeed, it's a line. You can see it's straight. A function, by definition, is a relation where each input is related to exactly one output. So first, let's look at a table of values for this specific line. So these are our ordered pairs, 8, -1, 8, 0, 8, 1, and 8, 2. Let's just look at these. And these are just four of an infinite amount of points on a line. So 8, -1 would be here, then 8, 0, 8, 1, 8, 2. And we could keep going, but these are all points that fall on this line. When we draw a mapping diagram, every input, our whole domain, this is our set of inputs. Each one is 8. There is no other input in this domain. They're all a value of 8 for every point on this line. 8 can map to -1, 8 can map to 0, 8 can map to 1, 8 can map to 2. So we call this our mapping diagram, okay? And keeping in mind, again, there's only one input. There are an infinite amount of outputs. These are just four particular outputs for this function, for this line. But there are more that could go into this set of outputs. There is nothing else that will go into this set of inputs. And so because the input 8 maps to more than one output, it is not a function. So it indeed is a line, but it's not a linear function. Let's now review slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. M being the slope of the line, and b representing the y-intercept of the line, the point where the line will cross the y-axis. Reminding you that x and y are always shown as x and y when written as the equation of a line, but they represent specific inputs mapping to specific outputs. We'll review that a little later on in the slideshow. So we have a graph here. It's titled Vacation Savings. So it's representing somebody saving money to go on vacation. Our x-axis, okay, our horizontal axis, is representing the number of weeks that we've been saving. And our y-axis, our vertical axis, is representing the amount that we have in our savings account. So we're asked to find m, the slope. So we're going to rise. So I'm going to pick the point furthest to the left. You can pick any point on the line, but I'm going to pick this point, noting that it is the point 0, 1400. I'm going to rise. Now the next point I see on this line that I can tell exactly what the values are this point right here. So when I run, I'm going to run to that point. So right here, I'm going to rise from 1400 to 1800, which is a rise of 400. And then I'm going to run to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's my run. When I divide 400 by 5, I get 80. So the slope of this line is 80. B, my y-intercept, is right here, the point where the line is touching, in this case, because it's a first quadrant graph, 1400. So my y-intercept, B, is 1400. I plug these into my formula, my equation, my slope-intercept form. Y equals 80x plus 1400. Now let's talk about interpreting the slope and the y-intercept that we just found. So our slope is 80, and now we're asking us to interpret. So we're going to use words. So since our slope is equal to the change in y over the change in x, we use our labeled axes to interpret. So I'm going to be talking about savings in dollars over weeks. So dollars per week. So we have $80 per week that we're saving. Our y-intercept represents the start of our line when we're talking about a real-world problem. And we started right here at our y value of 1400. So at the beginning, initially, we had $1,400 saved for our vacation. Your turn. I would like you to write the equation of this linear function and interpret the slope and y-intercept. Please pause this video, come back and hit play when you're ready to check your work. Okay, welcome back. Let's see how you did. So, I hope you came up with this line, y equals negative 2x plus 20. So first let's talk about our slope. I started here on our y-axis. So actually I said slope, but let's start with the y-intercept. So this is the starting point of our line because you read a line from left to right, the graph of a line left to right. So this is the furthest left point. It's at 20 on the y-axis, so our y-intercept is 20. So now I'm going to use rise over run. In this case, we're saying rise, but we're going down. So I have a rise of negative 4 all over 2. So this graph is written in intervals of 2. So every line on the graph going to the right represents 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So I'm going to go down 4. And run 2. So down 4 is negative 4. Divide by 2 gives me negative 2. Let's interpret our slope. Negative 2, and I'm baking. How could it be negative? It's because I'm using. So I use 2 cups of flour per batch of cookies. So remember, this is a ratio of our vertical change, our change in our flour that we have, over the change in the batches of cookies that we're making. So every 2 cups of flour I use, my flour goes down. So I started with my y-intercept initially. Before you baked any batches, you had 20 cups of flour. So I had 20 cups of flour initially, and my slope is telling me that I use 2 cups of flour per batch. 2 cups are gone, another batch. 2 cups are gone, another batch. 2 cups are gone, another batch. So we can see if I make 8 batches of cookies, 8 cups of cookies, 20 to 12 is 8, and I make 4 batches of cookies. So 8 over 4 simplifies to 2. So we use 2 cups of flour per batch of cookies. Let's talk about the x-intercept, because this graph of baking has an x-intercept because it's sloping downward. A lot of times in real-world problems, we have graphs that are sloping up. We have a positive sloping line, and there is no x-intercept that is meaningful to the problem. But in this case, we do have an x-intercept. So I can identify from my graph that the x-intercept is the point where it crosses the x-axis. And it's going to cross right here, which we can see is going in intervals of 2, that this would be 10. So my x-intercept is 10. But if I interpret that, what it means is after I bake 10 batches of cookies, I will have no flour remaining. So this point would be 10, 0. 10 batches of cookies, 0 cups of flour. Okay, your turn. I would like you to write the equation of this linear function, interpret the slope, and the y-intercept. Please pause this video and come back and hit play when you're ready to check your work. Welcome back. So now I can tell that I'm talking about a monthly gym fee. And it's going to be cost per hour with a trainer. So hopefully you came up with this equation. I get my 39 right here. It gives me this point, 0, 39. So I know that this point where it crosses or touches the y-axis where it starts is 39. And then I'm going to rise. We've got to use these points. I went from 39 to 51, and that's a rise of 12 over a run of from 0 to 4 of 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So be very careful if they're giving you specific values of these ordered pairs that this is not 0.40, it's 0.39. To interpret our slope, this 3 means that it's going to be $3 per hour with a trainer. The y-intercept 39 means there must be a 39 monthly fee. So $39 for the month if I do 0 hours of training. Okay, another one, your turn. This time I'd like you to write the equation of this linear function about a loan. I would like you to write the equation, interpret the slope and the y-intercept, as well as the x-intercept. Go ahead and hit pause, come back and hit play when you're ready to check your work. Welcome back. The equation of this line is y equals negative 25x plus 150. So let's start with our y-intercept here, 150. I got that from the point that touches the y-axis. So 0, 150, 150 is my y-intercept. Then to find my slope, it's a negative sloping line, so I have the negative sign. I'm going down, my rise is going down 25 every 1 week. So 25 over 1 gives me negative 25 for my slope. So each week, my payment, I'm paying off the loan, so it's negative. So to start, I initially owe $150. So I borrowed from somebody. I have a loan of $150. And my slope tells me that I pay every week, I pay $25 off the loan. So my loan is reducing by $25 per week. And it started at $150. The x-intercept here is 6. And what that means is 6 weeks I will have paid off the loan. So 6, this is the ordered pair 6, 0. 6 weeks I owe $0. So after 6 weeks I will have paid off my loan. Okay. This graph, you need to be very careful. You need to find specific points. So let's talk about this first. We're going to identify 2 points on a line because as soon as I have 2 points, I can find the slope. So identify that it crosses at 4, 300, and also at 9, 600. So I'm going to use these ordered pairs to find the slope of the line. You find the slope, I'm going to use the slope formula. The y-coordinate to point 2 is 600. The y-coordinate to point 1 is 300. So I'm going to subtract x-coordinate at point 2, subtract the x-coordinate at point 1. 300 divided by 5 is 60. So the slope of this line is 60. telling me that it's $60 per dozen shirts. Now I have to find my y-intercept, but right here I cannot identify exactly what that is because these are intervals of 100. So this looks to be around 50, but it could be give or take. So we're going to actually use this equation to solve for b. I'm going to plug in this ordered pair. Remember, when x is 4, y is 300. So I replace y with 300 and x with 4. And I'm going to solve this equation for b. 660 times 4 is 240. Subtract 240 from each side, giving me a y-intercept of 60. So notice, guessing that it was around 50 was 10 off. So to be exact, I needed to use an ordered pair on the line. So my equation of this line is y equals 60x plus 60. Okay, your turn. You've been given 6 ordered pairs on this line. I want you to use those ordered pairs to write the equation of this function. So you need to find the slope and the y-intercept. Hint, hint, you cannot see what the y-intercept is. You have to use the method I used in the previous slide, and then interpret your slope and y-intercept. So please pause and come back and hit play when you're ready to check your work. Welcome back. So I always pick the lowest value when I'm picking points. These are larger numbers. Would 630 and 527 work? Of course. But I'm always going to pick on the lower end. It doesn't matter which 2 points you picked on this line. You could have picked 218 and 527 or 424 and 115. Any work. But I'm going to have used 115 and 218. And your slope should have come out the same. Any 2 points will result the same slope in simplest form. So here's my slope formula. I plugged in the y-coordinate from point 2, the y-coordinate from point 1, and subtracted, and the x-coordinates. 18 minus 15 is 3. 2 minus 1 is 1 for slope of 3. I plugged in my slope for m in my y-intercept form, my slope-intercept form. Now I'm going to use this point, 115. I'm going to plug in 15 for y and 1 for x and solve for b. Subtracting 3 from both sides, and I get that my y-intercept is 12, giving me the equation of the line being y equals 3x plus 12. So now let's talk about it, let's interpret. So our slope, we're talking about a movie streaming channel fee. So this channel cost me $3 per month. So it's rising $3 every month. So for every month, my cost goes up $3. The y-intercept means initially, before I could even start viewing, there was a $12 startup fee. So there was some initial cost that was a one-time fee of $12 because every month after that $12 fee, it's $3 per month. Thank you for joining me today. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up or like my channel and subscribe so you can see the next video that comes out. Thank you.